It's finally here, guys, the Furitek Unity24. This is the all-in-one motor ESC combo for the SCX24. So in the original release of these, they were built more for the TRX4M and the Ascent 18. As you can see, I have this one in the Ascent 18, but this one is supposed to be a little bit smaller to help fit the SCX24 a bit better. Now it comes with the pinion for the SCX24 installed on it. So we're gonna pop this thing open and see what it looks like. Wow, okay, and I can tell it's smaller already. Now, it's still a fairly long can, but we'll compare it to some other motors because it's really not that big. And compared to this one, it is definitely a little shorter. So let's measure these real quick because I'm very curious to know the size difference here. So this one, we are right around 36 millimeters. Okay, look at that. So from that, we'll say 36 to 33 maybe. So, I mean, 3 to 4 millimeters difference. Every little bit helps, guys, right? So I'm curious what we can fit this in. Okay, I know hopefully it's supposed to fit just a stock truck straight up. You'll probably have to trim a battery tray or something like that for a stock truck. But I'm curious if it'll fit in this. This little guy is just one of my favorite, very basic SCX24s, okay? So we're gonna see if we can fit it in here. I love how everything is so low in this chassis, the magnet mounts, and you know, I did a lot of work to sort of cut this body up and stuff, and it's still just a favorite trail truck of mine to drive. So I'm curious if we can just fit this right in the place of this Goliath. I think we have like a baby Goliath or something in here from Tony at CCXRC. So we'll be able to ditch this ESC receiver combo and this motor hopefully and slap this guy in there, just mount us up a receiver somewhere. Battery normally goes up here. So very curious if this will fit in here. This will give us the ability to take this thing in a lot of water and just be a little cleaner setup. So I'm gonna get started pulling this transmission and we'll see how this thing fits when I'm done. So I have a bunch of motors here just to kind of show the size comparison. This is the original Cedar right here. And for packing an ESC in there, there's not a lot of difference, right? Pretty amazing when you figure this, plus you gotta have at least this or one of these with it. You know, so the fact that this is all in one right here, amazing. They've barely added anything onto the Cedar and we've got the all in one. Some of these other motors, obviously these are shaped different, but just to kind of show you guys the comparison here, much longer than something like this. These are great for those tight builds, but they are a little larger in diameter. Same with the Mofo. These right here are what really compare the most. So a TRX4M and the Ascent 18 motor is the exact same size. And as you can see, this is the exact size of this motor right here as far as length goes. So that's pretty amazing because this, again, it's packed your ESC inside of here as well. Something like a normal torque beast, obviously a little smaller, but I mean, for having the ESC all in one, not that big a difference, right? So everybody, I mean, me included, I've seen pictures of these things and thought, man, that thing's huge. But it's really not. This is the stock FCX motor right here. So you can see there. Obviously, these things are just massive. I don't run these anymore, but they were great in their time. And then here is a stock motor. It's about twice the length of a stock motor, but these things we all know are way underpowered. So just kind of wanted to show you guys that. And then you got to figure you're going to have one of these ESCs, depending on what you decide to go with, to cram in there as well with extra wires and all of that. So we're ditching the ESC. It's all right here. We're going to get this installed in here, pick a receiver for it, and see how she runs. So this is supposed to come with the motor mount that you will need. Mine didn't have one in the package. Luckily, I had one of these around here that I could use, but you will have to pull your transmission for anybody that don't know. So there's one screw in the top of this going into the skid, 2 in the bottom, and it comes right out. And then it's just a matter of pulling everything apart, taking the gear cover off, removing the drive shafts, and then pulling the spur gear itself so that we can get to the motor mount itself and swap that out. So once you get down this point, you're going to remove the motor and then the motor mount itself, place the new motor mount in its place, and then put everything back together. So it's not that difficult, but just in case anybody hasn't done it, that's just a quick run through. So I was able to get this in here facing the front. I was curious if I could get it to fit in here facing forward, and I did. I did cut or grind down just a little bit off of this link to clear so I could get full travel out of my shocks. Side to side, it was no issue at all, but when compressing both, I'm still kind of touching, but it'll be okay, I think. So this is still very hard to fit in pretty much any build, I would say, forward facing, because this is not a short front end like a lot of things we're building now. So most of the time you're probably going to set this up facing the rear. I would have had plenty of room toward the rear, but just wanted to see if it would fit in here forward facing. And then I went with a receiver to my Noble and battery back here. So I'm going to power this thing up because there are 2 ways to program this, and I've gone over this before, but we're going to talk about it again. So I wanted to talk about programming this real quick because there's 2 ways that you can program this. You can hook up this repeater and tune it through your Bluetooth, which is great. That's the best way, obviously. Or you can hold full throttle while everything's hooked up and turn this on. Wait for that long beep. So now we are in our menu system here. So it's beeping once for our mode. So we're in our motor direction. It's beeping twice saying we are counterclockwise. So beep, beep, beep. Okay, so the first beep is here. 2 means we're here. All right, so to change our mode, we're gonna hold reverse. And you'll hear it beep. Now it's gonna beep twice and once. So we're on drag brake and 0. So if you want to change your value, you're going to hold your throttle. Now it should be 2 and 2. Okay, so we're mode 2, value 2, which is 25% drag brake. So I'm going to switch this back. Next, we'll be on our voltage cutoff. So it will beep 3 times and then 4 times. So we're gonna hold our reverse to change our mode. It beeps 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're at 3.2 for our voltage cutoff. BEC output, we're gonna hold our reverse to change our mode again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I'm going to bump this to 7.4 and hope that this ramp crab will run it fine. We'll see. Now to exit all of this, you're just going to hold your reverse now. And it's now programmed, right? So it only goes through these steps once and then you're back out of it. So if you mess something up, you need to go back into it. You'll just turn this off again, hold full throttle. As you turn it on, wait for the long beep. So that's one way to do it, or you can plug this in and use the FuriKar app like we always do with the Furitek stuff. So nice that that's built in. You don't have to have this plugged in and using Bluetooth all the time. You got options, right? So I didn't do any speed comparisons with this motor because honestly, there's just so many different motors and gearing options out there now that you can pretty much make these SCX24s do whatever you want. Now this is a 3500 kV motor, so it's got quite a bit of wheel speed. Obviously you're going to have way more wheel speed than a stock system on 2S, and then once you go 3S, you're just really unlocking that wheel speed. So with the amazing slow crawl it has, the top end wheel speed is plenty. So like it's going to cover the entire range of anything you could ever need, honestly. And then with all of the gearing options with the SCX24 axles now, I mean, you can underdrive it like crazy, you can overdrive it like crazy. LGRP has the transmission that you can change gears in, so like you can pretty much make it do whatever you want. So that's why I just kind of skipped the wheel speed test, because there's so many variables between tires and motors and gears. And you know, used to we had stock motor versus barrage motor versus surpass motor, you know, but now there's just so many different ranges. Like I can't test all of them, but I can say that you can pretty much make this motor do whatever you want. And you'll see in the video that the slow crawl is just insane. The control of this thing going downhill is just amazing. You know, it really helps you on those tough downhill spots. And you'll see some of the lines that this thing does is just gnarly. I mean, for what this truck is, it's just insane what it can do. This system is completely waterproof. It's got a 5 amp BEC, which is a really good BEC for a small ESC, tiny ESC like this. A lot of 10 scale stuff has a 5 amp BEC, so it will run at 5.5, 7.4, and 8.4 volts. I don't see it having any issue running any of that. It is 2 to 3S capable, so you know, most of the time I'm running 3S, and I'm really glad that I can now run a 3S in this truck. So it is a bit pricey, coming in at 99 bucks. Now that does have your motor mount, and this is like buying in a motor and ESC, so it's a bit pricey, but it's a full brushless system that's very compact. For a trail truck like this, I think it's the perfect option. It's waterproof, so you know, I can take this thing out. As long as I've got a receiver that can handle it, you can take it through whatever. And the control is just insane. You can get those awesome scale shots and just, you know, really nice, smooth, slow crawl lines. It's just so much fun. You know, it made this truck even better because it's just so smooth now. Like going downhill like this, you can really just kind of ease on the throttle, and it's just crazy how smooth it is. Now, I don't feel like too many people are going to put this in like a comp style based build. You could face the motor to the rear, but with all of the angled skids we're getting now, like the motor's really going to be sticking up and stuff. So I don't know. It would be interesting to maybe try to work this into a comp build. Maybe I'll try to do that. But I mean, you can make anything work, right? We've been doing it back before the SCX24 really took off. Like, we made everything work for them. So anything is possible with these things. I always get people that ask me, will this work with that and that? And I'm like, look, it depends how much work you want to put into it. Anything will work, right? But this thing, just throwing it in, super simple install, it works to perfection in my opinion. So definitely worth checking out. If you have a truck that you're thinking, man, that would probably be pretty good in there, I promise you it will be good in there. And I don't see anybody regretting this one. So you guys, if you want to check it out, I'll link it in the description. It really just took this truck to the next level. I mean, I've always enjoyed driving this thing, and it kind of gets put to the side, and I don't really pick it up that often. But every time I do, I'm excited, and I just love driving it. And now I'm going to love it even more because it's more quiet, for one. It has much better control, and it's 3S capable now. You know, I had this just running on a stock V2 system, which is pretty dang good, which we know they abandoned, and now we get junk with these trucks. But this is just the next level. You know, it's insane how good this is, and just how much it changes a truck and how much better it feels driving it. So I'm going to leave you guys with a bunch of running here, and I appreciate you sticking around watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell, share the video, all that stuff. It really helps out, and I appreciate you guys sticking around. Peace. So this is still one of my favorite SCX24s. Definitely my favorite SCX24 like trail type truck. Insane performance out of this thing, and I've still got the old like crappy behind the axle steering. Like, it has no steering. That's as far left as I can go. That's as far right as I can go. Like, it has zero steering compared to what we're getting now out of things. And so I really need to change these axles up or do away with that behind the axle steering. At least get a little more performance out of this on the steering. Maybe a better servo. Ramp crab's not bad. It's just pretty annoying on a trail truck. You hear that? It's pretty annoying. But for what this thing is, the lines that it pulls is just insane. You know, there's not a ton of money in it, and it just destroys lines. Now that I've got the control of this motor and ESC in here, I can run 3S, so I do have a 3S in here now. So I've got a lot more wheel speed when I need it. And I haven't drove this truck in a long time. Sometimes it's just fun to go back to those old builds, you know. See where things came from and used to be. Like, it's very limited, you know. It's still running the internal sprung shocks in the front, at least I know. I don't even remember what's in the rear, but a lot of things have changed since I built this, but it still just really performs well. And of course, I still just love the Bronco body, chop top. Let's see if we can get through here. Probably gonna need that wheel speed right here. Oh wow, it's got way more than I was expecting, but we saved it. Crazy how powerful this little motor ESC combo is. So I don't know if it can handle this or not. I really don't remember. Kind of doubt it, but it's getting close. I'll hook that left side maybe. There you go. Look at this guy. Small but mighty. So obviously, the control and smoothness of this setup is just great. I mean, it's always unreal with Furitek. With this, the motor and ESC's all built in. So guess what? There is no guesswork. Will your motor, KV, and ESC work together? I hope it's built together, right? But yeah, this thing's crazy smooth. You guys let me know what you think about it. I'm gonna turn this camera off and just have some freaking fun with this guy. So I appreciate you guys sticking around. Peace.